Malik Johnson didn't open invoices the moment they arrived. Not because he was irresponsible. Malik was the kind of man who color-coded his calendar and kept a house file folder with receipts, warranty cards, and service records. He didn't open invoices immediately because he liked to give himself one quiet breath before dealing with other people's decisions. He had bought his home in Brookline Meadows 6 months ago, a modest 2-story with a narrow front porch and a backyard that sloped just enough to make mowing annoying. The neighborhood was clean, quiet, and mostly white. Wide driveways, trimmed hedges, and the kind of silence that felt welcoming until you realized it could also feel like surveillance. Malik had told himself he wouldn't overthink it. He was 34, a systems analyst, solid income, no drama, just a man who wanted to come home, grill on weekends, and stop paying rent into the void. So when the landscaping company's email came in, invoice attached, he didn't assume anything. He'd hired them because the previous owner had used them, and because their website looked professional and their reviews were fine. He made coffee. He sat at his kitchen table. He opened the PDF, and his mouth went dry. Green Ridge Lawn and Landscape. Invoice number 30,817, service date. Thursday work. Completed, full yard mow, plus edging leaf debris removal, weed treatment. Total, $265. Malik stared at the number, then at the service date, then back at the list. He didn't need to check his memory, because his yard hadn't been touched. The grass in the front was still long enough to wave when the wind hit it. The edge along the walkway was still ragged. The back slope still had the same patchy strip where he'd tried to mow last weekend and gave up halfway through. And the leaf debris removal was almost funny. There was a whole drift of wet leaves still wedged under the hedges like a brown tide that never retreated. Malik pushed his chair back and walked to the front window. There it was, the same yard he'd left that morning, untouched. He felt the first flicker of anger, quick and hot, but he forced it down. Anger could make you sloppy. Sloppy made it easier for people to dismiss you. He took his phone out and snapped a time-stamped photo through the glass. Then another from the porch. Then one of the backyard slope, the weeds by the fence line, the leaves under the shrubs. He created a small album titled Yard, Thursday, and saved everything. Then he pulled up the company's client portal. His account was there, his address, his payment method on file. A service history tab that said, completed, 11:42 a.m. Malik's eyes narrowed. Completed. At 11:42 a.m. He was at work at 11:42 a.m. His neighbor's ring camera faced his driveway at 11:42 a.m. And Malik's own smart doorbell recorded motion events. If someone had rolled up with a truck and mowed, he'd have evidence without even trying. He opened his doorbell app. Nothing. No truck, no crew, no mower noise, no motion event bigger than a squirrel hopping across the steps. Malik exhaled slowly. He didn't feel confused anymore. Confusion would suggest the world was unclear. This was clear. Someone billed him for work never done. He sat back down, opened a new email, and typed something measured. Hi, I received invoice number 30,817 for mowing, edging, leaf removal, and weed treatment on Thursday. None of this work was performed at my property. Please review and correct the invoice. I have time-stamped photos from today showing the yard unchanged. He attached 2 photos. He didn't attach everything yet. He didn't want to sound like he was begging to be believed. He wanted to sound like a man stating a fact. He clicked send. Within 10 minutes, his phone rang. Unknown number. Malik answered anyway. Hello, this is Malik. A man's voice came through, white, mid-40s, confident in that bored way people got when they assumed they were right. Yeah, this is Trent from Greenridge. I got your email. Okay, Malik said. Trent didn't say hello back. We were there. Malik paused. No, you weren't. There was a small silence, like Trent wasn't used to people contradicting him. Then Trent chuckled lightly. Sir, our guys don't just make up jobs. They clock in and out on GPS. Malik held the phone away for a second, then back, as if the word sir had heat on it. He kept his voice calm. Then it should be easy to confirm. My yard wasn't mowed. There's no edging, no leaves removed, no weed treatment. It looks exactly the same. Trent's tone sharpened a notch. Are you saying my crew is lying? Malik almost laughed, but it came out as a slow exhale. I'm saying the invoice is wrong. Trent said, our system shows completed. If it's completed, it's completed. Malik's jaw tightened. He could already hear the loop forming. System says done, so done. Reality becomes irrelevant. Trent, Malik said evenly, I have smart doorbell footage. No one came to my house. I have time-stamped photos. The yard is untouched. Trent sighed, heavy and theatrical. Look, sometimes homeowners don't notice everything. It's not a big yard. The guys probably did a quick pass. Malik's eyes narrowed. You can't do a quick pass and still call it edging, leaf debris removal, and weed treatment. Trent's voice cooled. Why would you try to get out of paying for services you requested? There it was, the pivot. From, we'll investigate, to, you're trying to cheat. Malik felt his heartbeat thump once, hard. He took a breath through his nose. I'm not trying to get out of paying, Malik said, careful. I'm trying to not pay for something that didn't happen. Trent's chuckle returned, thin, dismissive. You'd be surprised how often people pull this. Malik's stomach tightened. People. He knew what that meant in Trent's mouth. Okay, Malik said, voice still level. Then check the GPS route. You said your crew uses GPS clock-in. Trent paused. We don't just share internal tracking. I'm not asking you to share it, Malik said. I'm asking you to review it. Confirm the route reached my address. Confirm they stayed long enough to do the listed work. Trent was quiet for a beat. Then his tone turned slightly irritated. I can ask the crew lead. Please do, Malik said. You sure you're at the right address? Trent asked. Malik blinked. It was such a ridiculous question that it almost made him angry in a new way. Yes, I live here. Trent continued, like he hadn't heard the bite in Malik's silence. Sometimes people move in and don't know the lot boundaries. Maybe the crew did the neighboring property. Malik's eyes narrowed. If they did the neighboring property, then they didn't do mine. Either way, your invoice is wrong. Trent made a sound like he was chewing on annoyance. Okay, I'll look into it. Malik didn't thank him. He didn't apologize. He simply said, I'll wait for your follow-up. He hung up, then sat very still for a moment. Outside, the neighborhood was quiet. A white couple walked a dog past his house, glancing at his lawn. Too long, too messy for Brookline Meadows standards. Malik felt the weight of that glance like it was a comment. He thought about how easily Trent had decided Malik was trying to scam them. How quickly, our guys don't lie, turned into, you're trying to get out of paying. Malik stood, went to the garage, and pulled out the small binder where he kept home service paperwork. He flipped to the Greenridge contract and scanned the terms. Late fees, collection, service suspension. A clause about disputed charges that required notification within 10 days. Fine. Malik had notified them on day one. He opened his laptop and started building a timeline document. Simple, clean. Invoice received, Friday 9:03, a.m. yard condition. Unchanged, photos attached. Doorbell log, no crew arrival, screenshots attached. Call with Trent, Friday 9:16 a.m., claims GPS clock in. Then Malik remembered something he'd seen once when he'd hired a moving company years ago. a work route map generated from the crew's device showing stops and duration. If Greenridge used GPS, they had a route, and routes had timestamps. He clicked into the client portal again and searched every tab. Billing, service history, settings. Then he found it, a small link under service details that said, View Visit Summary. Malik clicked it. A new page loaded, basic info first, then below, a section labeled, Crew Check-in and Route Data. Malik's breath caught. Because there it was, a map preview, blurred at first, then sharpening as the page finished loading. A blue line, a route, a list of stops. And at the bottom, a small note. Visit completed, GPS verified. Malik leaned closer, heart beating. If this route didn't include his street, if it showed them somewhere else, then the argument was over. Not emotionally, not socially, but factually. And facts were the only language that could beat an accusation in a neighborhood like this. The map fully loaded. Malik's eyes locked on the nearest pin. Then he saw the street name, and his stomach dropped. Because the pin wasn't on Juniper Lane. It was 3 blocks away, on Juniper Court. Same neighborhood, different street, different houses, same kind of landscaping. Malik stared at the screen, jaw tight, as the truth took shape. They hadn't come to his property at all. They'd gone to the wrong place, and still billed him like he wouldn't notice, or like he wouldn't fight. Malik took a screenshot of the route data, then another that showed the address label next to the pin. Then he exported the visit summary as a PDF. He saved everything to the folder named Greenridge Dispute. Outside, the wind lifted a few loose leaves along the curb. Inside, Malik's face was calm, but his resolve hardened into something sharp. Because if Trent wanted to talk about GPS, Malik was ready. And the GPS, unlike assumptions, didn't care who Trent believed by default. It only cared where the crew actually went. Malik didn't move for a full 5 seconds. He sat at the kitchen table with his laptop open, the visit summary page glowing in front of him, and let the information settle into his body the way cold water does. Fast, shocking, undeniable. Juniper Court, 3 blocks away. Close enough that a crew could convince themselves they were basically there. Close enough that an office guy like Trent could dismiss the difference as nitpicking if he wanted to. But Malik knew the truth was in the details. And details were exactly what people tried to blur when they wanted you to give up. He clicked the map again and zoomed in until the little route line became a clean, unmistakable path. He hovered over the pins. The system displayed timestamps and durations like it was proud of itself. Check-in, 11:12. AM stop recorded. Juniper Court, 11:18. AM to 11:36. AM checkout, 11:42 AM. There was no stop at his address, no pin on his street, no duration that could be twisted into maybe they were there but it didn't log. It was a clean error, clean enough to prove, clean enough to correct, or clean enough to expose what was really going on if they refused. Malik exported the visit summary as a PDF, then saved it to his dispute folder. He took screenshots, wide view and close up, making sure the street name was visible. Then he opened his notes doc and updated the timeline. GPS route, wrong address, Juniper Court, not Juniper Lane. Duration, 18 minutes at wrong stop, no GPS record at Malik's property. He sat back and stared out the front window. A white neighbor across the street was dragging a branch pile toward the curb. Another neighbor, white man, early 40s, stood at his garage with a leaf blower, casually blasting wet leaves like it was therapy. Malik's lawn, still long and messy, looked like a small embarrassment in the neighborhood's tidy rhythm. He could already imagine the kind of comments people made quietly. He's letting it go. He doesn't care. Maybe he can't afford it. And Malik hated that, not because he needed their approval, but because he knew how quickly appearance became assumption. How easily a lawn could become another reason for someone to decide what kind of man you were. His phone buzzed again. A new email from Greenridge. Subject: Invoice number 30,817. Malik opened it. Hi, Malik. Our crew lead confirmed they completed the service. The visit is marked GPS verified. Please remit payment by the due date to avoid late fees. Trent Malik read it twice. His jaw tightened so hard he felt it in his molars. Crew lead confirmed, Malik murmured to himself. GPS verified. They were leaning on the exact thing Malik now had in his hand. But they were doing it like a threat. Like GPS verified was a weapon that could shut him up. Malik's breathing slowed. He didn't respond immediately. He didn't fire off a furious reply. He didn't give Trent anything he could dismiss as aggressive or emotional. Instead, Malik opened a fresh email and began building a message that was impossible to wiggle around. He wrote, slowly and clearly, Hi Trent, thanks. I reviewed the visit summary in the portal under Service Details arrow, View Visit Summary. The GPS route for the completed visit does not show the crew at my address on Juniper Lane. It shows the stop and duration on Juniper Court, 3 blocks away. I have exported the visit summary PDF and screenshots showing the wrong street name and route pins. Please correct the invoice to $0 and confirm in writing that no late fees or collections will be applied. If needed, I'm available to discuss, but the GPS route data already resolves this. He attached the PDF and 2 screenshots. Then, because Malik knew how miscommunication got weaponized, he added one more line. For clarity, my property was not serviced. My yard remains uncut and unchanged, and my doorbell camera shows no crew arrival. He attached a single doorbell screenshot showing no motion events during that window. Then he hit send, and he waited. Not passively, not helplessly. He waited like someone who had the proof and knew it. Less than 7 minutes later, his phone rang again. Trent. Malik answered on the second ring. Malik, speaking. Trent's voice sounded different already, tighter, less casual. Yeah, I saw your email. Okay, Malik said. There was a pause where Malik could almost hear Trent reading the attachments while talking. You're saying... The GPS shows Juniper Court, Trent asked, as if the letters were rearranging in his mouth. I'm not saying it, Malik replied calmly. Your system is. Trent cleared his throat. Juniper Court is basically the same area. Malik didn't raise his voice. He just let silence sit for half a beat, then said, It's not my address. Trent exhaled, irritated. It could be a mapping error. It lists the street name, Malik said, patient and firm. And the pin is on a different block. That's not a minor drift. That's a different property. Trent's tone sharpened slightly. Look, sometimes crews service a cluster of homes, and the GPS logs one point. Malik interrupted gently, not rude, just decisive. Then show me the point where they were at my home. Show me the stop at Juniper Lane. Trent went quiet. That was the thing Malik had learned about arguments like this. People would talk around the truth until you asked for a single, specific, verifiable fact. Then the room got quiet. Trent tried again, softer now. Our crew lead said they were there. Then your crew lead is wrong or lying, Malik said, still calm, because your GPS route does not include my street. Trent's voice turned defensive. We don't have crews lying, okay? We do good work. Malik's eyes narrowed. Then correct the invoice and come do the work I paid for. Trent snapped. You haven't paid yet. Malik paused. Exactly. Another silence. Then Trent said carefully, "Let me pull it up on my end." "You should," Malik replied. He heard clicks in the background, the faint sound of a keyboard, a mouse. Malik pictured Trent in some office with a headset on, leaning back like he owned the conversation. Until now, Malik didn't fill the silence. Silence was pressure. Finally, Trent spoke again, and the certainty in his voice was gone. "Okay," Trent said slowly. "I see the route." Malik didn't gloat. "And?" "It does show Juniper Court," Trent admitted, reluctant. Malik closed his eyes briefly, not out of relief, but out of sheer exhaustion at how hard it had been to reach this obvious point. "Yes," Malik said. "That's what I told you." Trent cleared his throat again. "We might have, serviced the wrong property." "Right," Malik said, voice steady. "So the invoice is invalid." Trent's tone turned cautious, like he wanted to frame this as a harmless little oopsie. "It's possible the crew mixed up the addresses. It happens." Malik's jaw tightened. "Then why did you accuse me of trying to get out of paying?" Trent didn't answer immediately. Malik could hear the mental scramble. How to deny it without lying too blatantly. "I didn't accuse you," Trent said finally. "I said people sometimes dispute." "You implied I was lying," Malik corrected calmly. "You said homeowners pull this. You asked if I was at the right address. You suggested I didn't know my property lines." Trent exhaled in a short burst. "Sir," Malik cut in, sharp but controlled. "Don't sir me now like you respect me. You didn't respect me when you assumed I was trying to scam you." The line went quiet again. Then Trent's voice came back, measured, forced professional. "Okay, I apologize if it came across that way." Malik held his phone steady. "It came across exactly that way." Trent pivoted, trying to move on. "So, what do you want to do here?" Malik didn't hesitate. He'd been building his plan the moment he saw Juniper Court. "First," Malik said, "you email me confirmation that invoice number 30,817 is voided and that my account will not be charged, assessed late fees, or sent to collections." Trent started to speak, but Malik continued. "Second," Malik said, "you schedule the actual service for my property, Juniper Lane, with a confirmed arrival window." Trent's voice was tight. "We can—" "And third," Malik added, "I want to know what you're doing to prevent your crew from billing the wrong person again, because you didn't notice this until I forced you to check." Trent's tone sharpened. "That's internal." Malik's voice stayed calm. "Then here's what's not internal. If the invoice isn't corrected in writing today, I'm disputing it with my card provider and filing a complaint with the State Consumer Protection Office." Trent swallowed audibly. Okay. Malik didn't threaten further. He didn't need to. He had leverage now, and he wasn't going to squander it with emotion. "Send the email," Malik repeated. Trent sighed. "I'll send it." "Today," Malik said. "I said I will." Malik waited through another few clicks and a muttered, "Hold on." Then Trent returned. "All right. Invoice will be voided. No late fees. We'll reschedule you." Malik didn't accept a verbal promise. He'd learned better. "Email it," Malik said again. "Now." Trent exhaled sharply, then said, "Fine." They ended the call. Malik set his phone down and stared at the yard again. He should have felt satisfied. Instead, he felt hollowed out, like he'd just run a marathon inside a conversation that never should have been a fight. Because the billing mistake wasn't the only problem. The real problem was how quickly Trent had treated Malik's complaint like a scam. Malik wondered, not for the first time, how the exact same conversation would have gone if Malik's name was Michael, if Trent heard a different voice, if Malik lived on a street where he looked like everyone else. He didn't have to wonder for long. His phone buzzed. An email. From Trent H., Greenridge Lawn, and landscape subject. Invoice correction, number 30,817. Malik opened it immediately. Hi, Malik. We reviewed the GPS route and confirmed the crew serviced the wrong location on Juniper Court. Invoice number 30,817 has been voided. No late fees will apply, and no collections action will be taken. We can reschedule your service at your Juniper Lane address. Trent Malik stared at the sentence. Confirmed the crew serviced the wrong location. No mention of the earlier certainty. No mention of the way Trent had laughed. No mention of people pull this. Just a clean, sanitized correction. Malik saved the email to his dispute folder. Then he forwarded it to himself with a subject line. Greenridge, invoice voided confirmation. He wasn't taking chances. A few minutes later, another email arrived. Subject, service reschedule options. This one offered time slots for the next week, with a generic apology about routing issues. Malik selected a slot and replied with two simple conditions. Please confirm in writing. Crew will check in at Juniper Lane, correct address. I will receive a visit summary showing the correct GPS stop at my property. He hit send. Then he stood, walked to the front porch, and looked down the street. It was quiet again, but Malik felt changed in a way that made the quiet seem less peaceful, because now he knew how fragile trust was, how quickly it could be taken away when someone decided you were the kind of customer who lied. He also knew something else. The GPS route had done what Malik's voice couldn't do at first. It forced reality into the conversation. It forced Trent to stop guessing and start checking. And Malik hated that he needed a map to be believed. But he was grateful he had it. Malik went back inside, opened his folder one more time, and labeled it with a final note. Resolved. Proof saved. Then he closed the laptop. Outside, the neighborhood still looked the same. Inside, Malik's resolve was different now. Sharper, quieter, more practiced. Because he'd learned again what he already knew. When people assume you're lying, you don't win with anger. You win with timestamps, routes, and receipts. And you keep them, because next time, someone might try the same thing.